Alright, we got a lot of Mario to play. I'm gonna jump right in. I was actually in the middle of working on some of these workshop levels, giving feedback, talking to Bleach, and I figured I might as well start the stream for week 2 of the Mario Maker workshop weekly stream. So this is just a pretty casual stream, and we will be going over things that we did throughout the week. In anticipation of next week, we'll talk about a few things, but ultimately just a really easy way for me to give a lot of commentary and feedback on the levels and experiences that we had earlier in the week. So I'm going to do this. Here we go. Fade that. Shove my tiny little webcam body in the corner. Right there. Nope. And fade that. Okay, cool, I'm in. Okay, so we were in the middle of analyzing this level. This is a level that was submitted by one of our workshop members for the blocks only assignment. Now, if you haven't heard about this assignment, it's clearly posted on our Twitter with the instructions, but the basic idea is to create a level with only these blocks, only these breakable blocks, for the most part, like that. So like you're trying to make a level as many interesting structures as you can. So this is one of the submissions, and I'll show you the level from the beginning. How about that? So here, it starts off simple, and you're like, oh, tall structures, must wall jump, fall. Oh, look. And this seems like a dangerous drop. You can get out of it. Yep, I killed myself. But yeah, you just jump to the flag, and it's a pretty simple level. So we were going through one of our workshop, our primary way of staying collaboratively connected. Probably shouldn't have attempted that. As a workshop and as a group, we used this particular spreadsheet that we created, and this one is basically let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. All of our courses go on the left. We got a course ID, whoever made it, if they were submitting it for an assignment, we got that here. And then we have 21 different ways to consider how that level did what it did, right? All right here. And we go through collaboratively. Anybody can see a blank cell or add to a cell and throw in their thoughts, but it's important to stay focused on whatever column that you're in. Bleach was just currently going through, and we were on this one right here, speed runnable, right? Now, I thought this was pretty interesting because this level looks pretty straightforward. But interestingly enough, whenever you have a lot of verticality in a Mario game, you really have an opportunity to do a lot of refinement like this. Like right there, I just shaved it. I shaved it again. Yeah, so there's actually a lot of tiny little things that you can do to shave off just small microseconds, like getting Mario's feet on the ground as soon as possible. I think that helps, especially if you're not already running at max speed. I already have the world record here at 15 seconds, but the run, I was experimenting with whether or not I could triple jump here to save myself a little time, whether butt stomping there and then twirling out was faster. I don't think it is. But here I experimented with like this, that, and then because you're gonna wall jump, and wall jump's like the same set speed, you might as well, like, there's certain ways where if butt stomping and twirling out is actually slower because you don't get to top speed, but if you wall jump as quickly as possible after that, you actually negate that a negative, then I think you can shave off even more time. So the whole point is this level looks extremely basic, but you can refine and refine and refine your Mario skills because of a particular way the level is laid out. So these are some of the interesting things we're trying to extract and learn as a group. So Bleach, the last question I asked Bleach, who was filling out the spreadsheet, was what ideas are developed in this what ideas are developed in this level, right? Did you come up with your answer, or should I keep going?
You should keep going.
Alright, so I think you even mentioned it before, but the very beginning is really simple. You can't die, you can't lose, the blocks are really thick. You go over to these pits, it's a little harder. You have to wall jump. The place that you're landing on, let me see if you can kind of overshoot this. Yeah, you can overshoot it, so it's a lot less forgiving. A lot less, it's a little less forgiving. you got to time a jump to a re-jump, right? The other one was just a simple back and forth. This is a jump, run, re-jump, wall jump. So it's a little bit more complicated. And here, now you don't have the luxury of landing on something safe. And now your platforms are much taller, much more spaced out. And if you fall, you're dead. So it's even more difficult still. So that's very basic development. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the spreadsheet and show you guys what that looks like. So anyone could do this. Anyone could have played this level. We have about 18 members in our workshop. Am I exaggerating? Am I making things up? Hey, 17. That's about 18. I'm not lying. And anyone can, at any time can try to get this feedback to these levels up to 100%. You can see we did really well at the beginning, right around here, a clean, solid gold line. But further down, you know, we had some assignments. People are spot checking a few specific categories like basic layout. Dr. Haji went through and just started listing out a whole bunch of what the shapes look like in some of these levels. So we'll go over those in a second. But for this particular case, I'm working on Mefimber's level, and I'm going to add something to development. It's basically like the beginning is very forgiving, no pits, big walls to slide and jump off of. Then you have back-to-back jumps. Then you have an open pit with smaller walls to jump off of. Classic difficulty style development. Development. Cool. This level does not have counterpoint. There's really just only one layer going on, and it barely even has two layers. So they're in the final section. There is some branching, very minor, almost laughable, but not quite. Counterpoint, nope. Nopers, nope. Clarity. So we were talking about fairness too. This is interesting. So when I first played this level, I either fell into the pit or I almost fell into the pit. I think I fell into it. But like, you're like, oh, this level's so easy. Up, like just like that. If you're just blindly falling down, we all know from Mega Man. Oh, I actually should have flicked over the screen. I'm not making that mistake 3 times. Okay, so like, you're falling down the pit, and if you weren't paying attention and you just held forward, you would go that deep into the pit, and you only have a small window to wall jump your way out. A lot of people just like holding forward in these Mario games, and it's kind of important not to let blind falls go directly down to a pit. But if we're talking about fairness, Mega Man has taught us that the slower you can go down, if you can't see where you're going, the better. So smart players, if you don't know what's down there, even though you probably should have seen it like right here, you probably know at least there's a little bit of land. You probably should do this. That may not save you all the time, but at least gives you a little bit more time to react, and you see that this is safe. But for a lot of players, they're going to be DIing right there and then fall into this hole, but good thing you have a wall jump. So that's like semi-unfair, right? I wouldn't do this layout like this. I would make it to where you naturally have a nice space to land, or you put some coins or something. And then right here, you can see beyond the wall, so you know there's a pit on the left side, or right after the fall, right there. And there was not a pit over here. So you should kind of know, even though you're looking ahead and trying to wall jump, you kind of should know that this is dangerous. Like that. So the level is still fair. There's tiny little subtle things that make it fair. You may not feel its fairness on your initial playthrough, but you can kind of clearly see what's going on, and it's pretty consistent that way. There's no secrets. Bleach, you want to put no secrets for me in that box? There we go. And I gotta switch back over. There we go, no secrets. Counterpoint, none. We'll talk about that later. That's the most complex lesson. The most Mario-y and complex lesson I could possibly give in this workshop, so don't worry about this for now. And principles. Okay, so does this course break or uphold in a good way any principles? And let me show you what I mean by that. In our workshop, we have multiple tabs down here. One of them, let me just hide this. You don't deserve to see that. You don't deserve to see this. Principles tab. We have tons of principles here. We just throw them in when we think of them, when we organize it just like that. We got 48 at least. There's exactly 48. So these are just things when you're playing, you're like, no one should ever do that, or that's cheap, or that's such a good idea. We put them in there, and the principles are really what you study in order to get better at designing levels. It's keeping all those things in mind, not only what they are, but why they would either be good or bad for the particular thing you're doing, and then you uphold them. So here's one principle that I can easily point out. I always say, why stop the player from jumping up off the top of the screen, right? Like, why do this? Why bonk my head? Why? So I put a principle into the sheet I call, what is it? Knocking on heaven's door. If your course goes to the top of the screen, if it's an open theme level, do not put blockers to prevent the player from jumping up off the top of the screen. The reason I say that you should always do this is to maintain thematic and aesthetic continuity. Also, unexpectedly bonking off the top of the head is jarring and potentially unfair, and it looks kind of weird. Well, that's what the aesthetic part is for. It's fine for underground courses, but blah blah blah. This is pretty easy to understand that this concept. You may not put it in your levels all the time. Like I feel strongly about it, so I put it always. But at least you have now considered it. So here I can put knocking. Wow, knocking on heaven's door. Heaven's door. Like that. And I'll put a little fail. Whatever. Clarity, everything's clear. Very all clear. You want to put for the clarity bleach and do clarity and camera, because you talked a little bit about the camera before, and you talked a little bit about the clarity. Go ahead and fill those two out, and I'm gonna jump around this level real quick. And I gotta check the Twitch chat. Cool. I don't have the best layout here. So here's some of the things I was doing to try to shave off some time on this level. I was investigating if I could wall jump here and get a triple jump off, right? Because if I can do this, this is how I get a triple jump. Full speed. Okay, so here are the rules. To do a triple jump, you gotta be running at full speed before you do your first jump. When you wall jump, you're near at top speed. So you do this, cut it as shallowly as possible, run for a little bit, but then you gotta get a short hop, right? Because you gotta get 3 jumps in these 2 block space, and I don't even know if it's possible. I need to skip off the edge of that quarter. So the only way to do that is... Yeah, so triple jump's not gonna work. So you can see sometimes there are these possibilities, and they're just so close to happening, but not. That's why it's good to sort of see other people play your level. It's good to get other people with different agendas to play your level. Like speed running is a different thing than just completing it. Collecting all the secrets is different from just completing it. And they can tell you can learn a lot about like the exact spacing between blocks and what's good, what allows for lots of cool possibilities, and what doesn't. We'll see more of that in a second. I'm gonna go over. Yeah, so bleach put for clarity. You can see important parts of the levels. So the gameplay idea is wall jumping in tall walls. So if there's anything that gets in the way of that idea coming across, bleach would have put it there. There's nothing, I don't think. And the camera doesn't focus on important areas such as bottomless pits as you fall. So yeah, that's a potential fairness issue. But yeah, bleach went ahead and filled that out. So we're gonna do the next level. Zarach right here. Nope. Fire Cakes. Fire Cakes made a new level? Awesome, Fire Cakes. Let's go. Alright, got the record here too. Very simple level. And let's make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. Cool. Alright, see this already very different from what we saw in the last exercise. You can see here blocks floating up. Weird shape I've never seen before in Mario, this thingy. Kind of weird. I like it. I like shapes. 2 block wide platforms, these little nubbins. Kind of interesting here. They make you jump. This is kind of like, can you short hop? The answer is yes. Nice spacing on the top of this here, where if you jump off this nubbin, you can jump over the structure. I did it already, but let me just show it. Pay attention. Like that, you can get up here. And then we have a bunch of these for whatever reason. But you can see that this is incredibly sort of difficult and potentially frustrating to platform through. You gotta have enough speed going in order to start the skipping process, and if you bonk your head, you don't get that. And then you can always jump like over the first one to get the speed. So this is a really cool formation, right? Like if you start at the top, every time you mess up, you drop a layer, and every time you drop a layer, you bump. So it gives you 4 chances to remember to get the jump down before you collide to the bottom. This is a really interesting idea right here. It looks kind of weird, but the function of it like this, it's kind of like pachinko. We're gonna call these pachinko dots. And the purpose is that you can bonk and sift and filter down all the way to the bottom like that. Very cool. We got narrow passageways over here. The stair step pattern. Let's see how easily I can jump up this. No? Is that even possible? I don't think it's possible. So those stairs are probably too close. This is a great way to slow the player down, and interestingly enough, I think so right now I'm bonking my face, but if I kind of slow it down a little bit, I think I can get it a little much faster if I stop holding the run button. Let's see what. So right now I'm going to focus on skipping off the... Also, you don't bonk as well if you crouch. So I'm going to skip off the front edges of these blocks. If I can do it. Oh, that's just awkward. Some structures here. Keeping the symmetry thing going. I like how Zera sectioned off this area with these 2 4 blocks. Remember, 4 blocks are high enough for Mario to jump over without running and jumping. Very important for just like ease of access. This is a strange thing. Who knows what it does? Probably nothing. And some weird Morse code looking patterns. So it's so interesting, right? If you focus on the aesthetics first, you get stuff like this. You're like, I've never seen these shapes before in Mario. That's because there's tons of shapes possible. It's practically a pixel art machine if you treat it like this. I've never seen this before, right? And this little L shape, and this little overhang, followed by an L shape. So the point is, with just blocks, there's a lot that you can learn about how Mario moves. There's a lot you can learn about the spacing in between objects and what that facilitates. There's a lot you can learn about where your design leanings are. Are you like a pixel art? Are you leaning on that? Are you just leaning to create interesting shapes and just come what may as far as the gameplay goes? Or are you tuning things for the actual gameplay? It's really interesting. So theme, blocks only, pretty easy. Did you want to fill out any of these, Bleach?
Sure.
Alright. I'm gonna delete this one. You put yours in there. You need all the points, man. Did I already switch over it? I did. Okay. Blocks only, basic layout. So there's a lot in there. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back in, but you can keep going. Just some... All right. Ooh, that's fun. While we wait, I'm gonna jot in the gameplay idea. So we have a whole tab for gameplay ideas. I'm gonna call this one How do you spell pachinko? It's not it, is it? It's Pachinko. It's not the Pachin company, it's Pachinko. And Pachinko dots. Arranging a crazy amount of dots. I'm gonna go ahead and snag a picture of this too. What did you come up with, Bleach?
What? What'd you sell?
Fade that back. Okay. Let me just save this real quick. Under workshop, workable web images, image examples, gameplay ideas. We're on 91. Pachinko dots. Cool. And then back to the spreadsheet, which you could probably see. Cool. I'm going to see like alternating dots in a dense cluster can test little jumps, running lines, and slows the player down to repeatedly walk forward and bonk. This is just a level design and any style pretty much. But you really have some really interesting vertical traversal options in there, so like insert image in cell. Go drive function. Chinko. Right there. Easy enough. Cool. Alright, so back to the courses tab. Bleach put asymmetrical block patterns that allow Mario to go towards the goal. Player can create order out of the chaos. How do they do that?
By trying to figure out more efficient routes to go through? I don't know.
That probably would go under speedrunning. As far as the basic layout goes, you've got a variety of thingies. Some of them are symmetrical, some are not. Some are dense, some are not. Like these little weird diagonal stairways. I commented before that these
I didn't really feel like there was a flow, but there was lots of options for the player to interact with the layout of the blocks.
So if there's no flow, that would go under pacing and or development. There's just like basically like a zoo of different things. For the basic layout, yeah, I'll add in on that one too. Okay, so Mario Maker Workshop blocks only. This is their, so I'll say some dense structures, like the diagonal stairs, diagonals, and pachinkos. We have some unique shapes with S curves and L's. We have some Morse code looking stuff. We have some symmetry and some not. A variety. Huh? Easy enough. Yeah, there's really nothing difficult here. Nothing too crazy to talk about. Fairness, there's no way for the player to die except for the timeout. That's true. The level naturally created some high and low areas, Bleach, if you want to talk about layers. Like, you can't get up to this first high area unless you go back. And then this high area you can get from below, but that transfers up here. This high area you can stay up here. That you can get. So we talked a little bit about flow motion before. I'm going to show you something later about it, but right here, this is not flow motion. If I jump to this little platform running at full speed, like this, and I walk off, I bonk my head right here on the side of this. If that were just arranged with some flow motion, I'd be able to run off the top of this, and then run off the top of that. So let me try to jump to simulate that. So this stair right here is much wider than the one below it. I like these. Oops, messed that one up. Yeah, and then that's still really slow. But this, fine. It's also annoying, so when you're speed running, you're like, well, what's the difference between something that floats and doesn't? Well, right here, if I'm moving at high speed, I don't flow on top of to this block. That means I pretty much have to avoid that altogether or jump. So that turns this potential 3 to 4 route into a 1 to 2 route. So instead of doing this and going up here for an option, this, running and landing on this for an option, or this as an option, it's just pretty much the top two. If you want to keep your speed going. Alright, layers. Got some high and low areas, even some triple branches. Pacing, just stuff. You want to talk about the pacing bleach?
Of Sarah's level?
So your comment on development should go under, what is this? I mean, how does the player create order out of chaos? I don't understand. You can't really change the level.
Blocks don't feel like they have purpose when they were put down. There's a lot of variety in how you can get through certain parts of the level. Some more efficient than others.
Why did they take the record back from me right on stream? Why do they do this? Anyway, so you're not changing the level in any way, so there's nothing you can do to bring order to it. It's the same as it is going in as it is when you leave it. So like, it's not about bringing order to anything. It's just, do the ideas, you know, progress and build on each other to say something, or is it just a bunch of random stuff? That's pretty much what you're answering in that slot. All right, so let's go with some other examples. Assignment 2, blocks from Bleach. This one's funny.
It's funny because I don't understand anything.
All right.
I can't read.
Alright, pixel art city. We got a whole bunch of different pixel arts here. I'll show you guys as it goes along. We got some Kirby, we got some crow's feet, we got some Triforce heroes, we got some parentheses, we got Pokeballs, we got whatever those are, we got the number 2, we got a grabby hand, an arrow pointing down, and a swirly swirl, a clock, an electrical plug, M, a running man, W, an explosion, a jail box. We got a squid.
In order out of chaos.
And we got some other weird blocks doing some weird things. This reminds me a lot of what's that art style game that I bought? Pictobits. And you're grabbing the little pixels and trying to line them up. Not a good game. And there's a sad crying face and a sideways clown. But yeah, this is all pure aesthetically driven. Like, these you can't really play around in. We'll see. Like this. I can go here. I can try to see if I can spot my landing first. No! And I'm here, and I go over here. Like, if there was coins over here, that'd be like super interesting. How many can you get on and off before the thing leaves you? Kind of a thing. This is the football thing right there. Oh, missed that one. Okay, then you can still see the thing in the side. And if you can remember what's going on as you go up, as you travel down, that's kind of a funny idea. Right here, explosion, jail cell. Number W, the M, yeah, the M was W, running man. This is a plug, yeah, and then we got the clock and the crazy @ sign. No. The grabby hand. Parentheses, is that on the left side? The number 2? No, the arrow. Here's the parentheses and the Pokeball. The P and P. It's like a little memory challenge. It's kind of funny. Triforce with the other weird kind of Triforce. Yeah, these aren't the worst structures to jump around, actually. A lot of times when you make pixel art, it's just like this. You can't do anything with this. And we got the bottom, right? So, even though that level was a little odd, kind of taking pixel art to the extreme, one of the interesting parts about our exercise is we took this first step and then we added other elements to it. So I can show you that in a second. I want to show just a few more. Who let these chomps loose? Cody Wizard. Let's go, Cody. And if you see anything bleached from the levels I'm playing and there's holes missing in the feedback thing, go ahead and throw in some stuff there. Small pyramid. A large. So this little stair step structure, it's very hard to jump up. It's actually a very difficult platforming challenge to maintain any regular decent amount of speed. You gotta have some like frame close. I keep bonking, right? Yeah, so I probably need to jump for the next one. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard trying to get that as fast as possible, and that'll slow down a lot of players. We have Cody spelling his name in the sky. Papa. We got an X. Fire flower.
That is a D completely going over his name.
Okay, let's see if we can get to the top of the fire flower. So this is interesting things like this. There we go. Got it. You can't see the fire flower entirely when you're standing next to it. That might be already in the thingy. That's not a... Yeah, it's a fire flower. Or a crazy face. Looked like an Octoling enemy from the Octo expansion. Let's see if we can get into that thing. No? I need a little more... No, can't get in it. Not fun, Cody. Don't put things when I can't have fun with. Yeah, so these are some large, very simple block structures. I actually like these a lot. You don't really see these in Mario. And there's something about putting this one next to this one that makes this big fat one look a lot better, in my mind. And then we have some non-symmetrical kind of turd lumps from Jurassic Park. And we have some more lettering. This C motif, everyone remembers the C motif. Got back into this, a big old heart, and we done. Missed it. So yeah, it doesn't take very complex shapes. It doesn't take a lot of crazy nooks and crannies to make interesting gameplay. It's all really about I should have liked that. Chorus. Fire cakes went kind of crazy with the geometry, but I don't. Oh yeah, fire cakes. Let's go. Did we already go over these last stream? There were some new ones added, so I think we already went over this one, and I think I already talked about the C motif. So let me make this brief. Fire cakes had a C motif as well as my brother, Dr. Haji. So let me see if I can find it. Crazy pixel art face. Blah blah blah. I think it's in the underground. So this Chu Gak Wide cannot be jumped through. Fire cakes! This kind of stuff can really slow you down, but it's interesting to move through it. See, I wish the gaps weren't just one wide. That kind of really tests your ability to platform, which I just messed up. Crazy crane arm. Where's my C motif? Oh. Random blockos. Nope, no C motif. We out. But yeah, that's one of the cool things we did. We took that, and then the second layer of interesting things, which I will show you right here. Twitter.com. Design oriented. So yeah, this is the extra credit. You take the levels, no matter if you were just making pixel art or trying to make it something more like a normal course or whatever. Doesn't matter. We're learning about every single thing and we're sharing everything that we learned, so we're all learning more. Extra credit was now shove some coins in it, or shove some enemies, just one type of enemy, but put a few of them in there, or add one single power up at one single point. Or switch styles between like the original Mario Brothers, Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, Super U, and see how different it is to move through the same exact space. That's a different, slightly different kind of Mario. All of those are important things to sort of experiment with. So we were building on the foundation from assignment 1, adding coins to Bleach's level with the whole vertical zoo slideshow Jurassic Park ride thing is one way to make it a little bit more interesting, right? Trying to collect as many of them before you fall, or without falling. Adding just a few enemies. Some of these enemies are really dynamic. Koopas can really destroy blocks. Bob-ombs can destroy things. Super Mario and this large head can destroy things. Lots of interesting things to play around with, even from such a basic layout. So before, with my original assignment, I created this layout, and I even posted this picture about it. It's talking about all these interesting ways to flow in this slipstream, and what I learned about spacing objects and how to make things more interesting by spacing them this just right. There's a lot of things I learned from doing this. But now, I have submitted my course, which is, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Where's my course? Uploaded course. So I took my level and I added coins to it. I changed a little bit of some of the structures, right? Because you're never locked into your design if you're sitting there making it yourself. Gollum currently has the record in 2 minutes and 27 seconds. It's a level I designed for non-linear speedrunning. Took all that stuff you saw in that cool chart, and I decided to be like, how do I make it to where these things are a little bit more incentivized? And I chose coins. Lots of coins. There's about 230 coins in this thing, but you only need to collect 120. And it starts out like this. And another one of our workshop members played this level blind for the first time yesterday and streamed it, so I can link that. But there's lots of things going on in this level. I already know how to play it, so I'm not going to play too much of it. But give you plenty of time, 500 seconds, to kind of get through the whole thing. And there's coins over there, there's coins over there, there's coins over here, there's coins over there. Right? Lots of different ways to grab coins, but you need 120 total. This one's the hardest one, and I only give you 7 coins for it. I'm gonna try it. No! My record is that many, and then I couldn't. It's so hard to go from there to slow down just enough to double bonk this. You slow down, and then you have to rerun, right? So you slow down, and then you rerun, but you still have to have some momentum. Incredibly hard. Like that. Oh my gosh. If you got the whole 7, somebody take a picture or a video of that and send it to me. I'll give you a prize. But yeah, super specific dexterity and timing challenge right here. Nothing like that I've ever experienced in Mario like this. It's crazy. But lots of layers, lots of options, lots of non-linearness. You can go up, down, left, right in a lot of ways. Everything that you can go left-wise like this or right-wise, you can turn it back around and go left-wise. Oop, I messed that one up. Everything's kind of easily jumpable, right? You can just return the favor. You can go up here. Messed that one up. So there's lots of different possibilities. I had a lot of time, a lot of fun making it, but really all of this design and all of these principles came from that exercise, right? Keeping it basic, not worrying about what you made, but just worrying about what you can do with it, and taking it from there. So yeah, that's a pretty good recap of what we did last week. I encourage everyone to try to beat my level. I got a little let me show you the tweet for it. Race. Here we go. Right here. Race through the Golden Desert. The code is 9GBRFGHXG. There's G's in every single one of those. Cool. So let's jump back into the spreadsheet. Let's see what Bleach has been up to. We got stuff. Race to the desert. Still's got some stuff. Stuff. So here's an interesting part. The way that this workshop is designed is like you contribute whatever you want to. You know, it's completely open. It's completely up to you. But anytime you play the game, you should be thinking in one of these 5 different ways, right? If you're playing somebody else's level, you can think about the interesting ideas they have, and if it makes you think, oh, that's interesting, write it down. You get points for this. You get points for writing it down and kind of citing it and adding it to the list. If you think, oh, I didn't know that, right? Like, let's just go to the bottom of the knowledge list and update this. For whatever reason, that wasn't stylized. Let's go to the bottom. 165 individual pieces of information. And Zara said, Angry Sun can be killed by a Koopa shell. Did you know that? I think I knew that back from when I was freaking like 7 years old playing Mario Bros 3, but I wouldn't have remembered that off the top of my head. So each one of these is just something that one of the workshop members has thought about and discovered. Press R to cancel cat dive. Yeah, that's a good one. Bowser Jr.'s allowance is 400 coins per week. Story? That's hilarious. Yeah, put anything you think is interesting or funny that's related to Mario Maker in there. It's all good. But yeah, discovering things and recognizing that other people would also find it neat if you shared it with them. If you even talk about it with your friends, it belongs in here. Jotting down their gameplay ideas when we play Nintendo course levels or random levels, or you're watching a stream. I grabbed some of these from a stream. Very cool. And we just kind of write down. I need to write this down, don't I? The chain chomps bounce in a way that leaves a small gap for crouching or dodging underneath or staying safe underneath. Put some chomps out of a pipe and watch them bounce along. Nice. Nice. And then we make courses, right? These interesting assignments that are supposed to be as long or as quick as you want them to be. You get as much out of it as you put into it, right? Get your feedback, see what other people said about it. We got 21 points of analysis here, probably more than you'll find anywhere else about Mario level design in particular. But finally, the most interesting takeaway from all of this, right? Because everyone can make a level. Your level's not going to be the greatest level ever. There's only one level that's the greatest level ever. By definition, I don't know what it is though. And you'll make mistakes, you'll learn some things, and then you'll move on. But the way that you'll improve over time is if you learn things that are like actually applicable to other designs that you might make. So like, oh, I learned I shouldn't have put a Goomba there. Why? What does that mean? And how's that going to affect the next Goomba you place? So we call those principles, right? These are rules of thumb. Some are strong, like things you should always do. Some are weak, like sometimes. Some are in between, like usually. You can kind of see all that working. And we extract these and just write them in. And if you think of something, you put it in, right? NFT Jeff just added this one about puzzle path singularities. Cool. Anyone else can add stuff to it if you see a blank thing. But for the most part, you don't change whoever submitted it. First come, first serve on that stuff. And we learned a lot from these block exercises, so I wanted to just take a quick run through and explain some of the stuff I learned. So stare structures slow the player down. Very challenging to keep speed going, especially the higher these steps, right? Oops, that's the description. We'll call this Stairmaster. I love puns. So that's something that I observed. Let me show you. Let me just kind of think of it out loud. I don't think you need to see me typing. It's much more interesting to see the game. So I'll switch to this. Yep. My own level. Why not? Oh, my level, I place almost everything within 4 to 5 blocks, vertical height. Place almost, we'll call this, it meets the eye. Platforms that meet the eye. Basically, if you can see it, you can jump to it. If you can see a platform, you can jump to it. Basically, keeping vertical jumps between 1 and 5 blocks high. So running Mario can jump to it. Otherwise, make it much higher, like 7, maybe even 8. We'll say 8 plus blocks high, so it's very clear. Something else that I do a lot with my design, right? I talk about flow motion, this stuff. So like I do a lot with omnidirectional pathing. So create structures that you can travel forwards and backwards and up and down safely, clearly, and funly. That's right. I do that in this level a lot, so you can go up this thing, you can go down this thing, you can approach this from, oh, keep messing up. Wow. You can go that way, you can do this and jump on top, you can,
Holy crap.
You can get there from here, you can jump to that little hole just by jumping like that. Ah, missed it. The coins help you there. Let me show. There, like that. It's kind of measured out for you, but you can also do it just like this. Like that. It's kind of measured out for you there, because that's like the perfect ratio. I love that jump. And yet, it's still easy to mess up. It's not a freebie. This is because I'm applying and staying true to these principles that I like. If you have a one-way gap hole, you know, I have different ways you can flow into it. Like I designed this where you can smack your head here, run, make that. And here's one of my favorite things about this. I call this the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. It looks like a giant lion face. You can also do the flow motion there. And if you do a perfect turn jump, you can get up there without bonking. Keep your speed. So precise. I love it. The simplest things sometimes. You can jump out there, and you just keep the flow going. You're like, ha-ha! And you go, ha-ha-ha! That's why I love this. So, what's another principle? Talk about flow motion. So, flow motion, which is a term I'm taking from Kingdom Hearts. Make it smooth and fun for players to jump off of things and run off of things to connect to other things. Variable speed to control to stay in flow motion is okay. Like right here, the gap between here and there and there and there is like perfect, so that if you're moving really fast, I think you only have to slow down like a little bit. Like you can do a perfect pre-jump here to a perfect edge jump and then an edge jump, and I think you can get up here without slowing down. And that's flow motion down there for going from brick to brick. Ah, like that. I slowed down just a tiny bit, but that's like super precise, but it's possible. And you can feel it, and if you see it, you can do it. Like that. You can even go from this lower area, if you're really good, for no reason. And jump up this if you have perfect short hops, but I don't. How do you get that super tiny one? I can't do it. Like, see this hop right? No, that's not it. Wait. That's the shortest hop you can get. It's super not easy to do. The time's almost up. But what else about this structure? Let's just start over. So yeah, like if I want you to get up to these things, again, this is a 5-block high. I don't block you from doing this. It's like I could make it to where if you fall, you're like, shoot, gotta go back, or I could just not. That's my choice. That's what I'm sticking to. Look, perfect jump. People don't have any trouble making this jump, even though it's a 1-gap high. That's because I designed it with flow motion in mind, and I put a nice shiny jump point here. And there's also like no other good jump point if you kind of look at it carefully, so that naturally guides people into going there. But you can just do that. Mario has a lot of control. Here's the stair step with a 2-gap here. Lets you bonk your head and it slows you down. But if you get a perfect jump, you can do that. You're like, okay, that's enough space.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you were designing these areas for flow motion, were you using the onion skin from the editor, or were you doing it through feel?
I did almost all of it through feel, and then I used the onion skin to make sure that Like some of these jumps over here in the top are so crazy. I just jumped for it and like I lined it up because I'm like, okay. But all these other things, like this part right here, so I love this because you can run at full speed, jump up, and then get down below and run at full speed, but I didn't get it. So let me try it again. Run at full speed, jump, and I slowed down a little bit. I shouldn't have slowed down. Look how precise you have to be in order to nail that. That doesn't look like a tricky jump, but if you do it too early, you don't get the jump. If you do it way too early, you fall into a hole like this, and that's slow. If you do it like that and land in precisely, right, you'll fall here, slow. Like so many cool things about keeping your speed that makes this much more challenging than it looks.
Richard, you have someone in your chat.
Cool. Keep an
He's
eye on
asking
that.
you some questions.
Keep an eye on that for me. I'm gonna pop over to chat right now. Oh, it's NFT. Which controller do you like for Mario Maker 2? Yeah, if there's any blocks next to the Q block, it would be a harder jump. Yeah, he's the one who streamed it, so like he knows. I use a Pro controller. I have one of those weird SNES wireless things that I don't use a lot. But then when I'm playing, I'm mostly in handheld mode, and I'm using just the subpar Joy-Con buttons. So like, it's just whatever. Come on, this is so hard. You'll be working on this for the rest of your life. Yep, rest of my life. Wow, I can't believe I jumped out of that. Something like that. Yeah, I wanted you to be able to grab coins in different ways than just touching them. So I love these formations because you can hit them, decide which ones you want to hit and which ones you want to fall to, right? And these gaps are just wide enough so you can do stuff like this. I love this stuff. Like that. So good. This whole thing is just like, oh, it's meant for me to jungle gym in. And then I love that too. If you fall here because it's awkward, smack your face, you land right here. Alright. I actually designed this whole level initially to, I'll show you. So you never have to touch the ground because I was like, what if I replace the ground with lava? So like right here, you can go here, here, here. You can go up from here, but if you go lower, there, and then you can flow motion here, spin jump. Oh, I burned. Ignore that. You go up here, and then you can like take the high path, but it's risky, right? So if you don't want to just randomly burn, you know, you got a nice grace walkway right here. You go on top. And then I made this flow motion here. Oh no! I burned. There, flow motion, you can stop with enough time to be like, I don't want to burn. And then you're just doing classic Mario right here. And you can go either left or right here, but let's say you want to go... Oh, that's another flow motion too right here. Where you can run out of this super potion. Oh shoot, did I ruin it? Well, you need some speed so you can do this. I think I ruined it. With that block I placed in there to hold the mushroom. If you have enough speed... How do I get enough speed? Wow, okay, well that used to be able to, you can run straight out the bottom and just land on this. I might fix that some other day. But yeah, you can stay high, you can run across this, and then you can see your ending and then get to the end flag, right? You never have to touch the ground. And that also kind of means, I don't think you have to touch the ground to get 120 coins either. I just thought that'd be a neat thing to put in. What else? Let's go over here. It's a lot harder than it looks to get all those in one go. And like, I love that. If you jump too early and you bonk your head, look at the way this flow goes. Right down here and then right back up. It's like this perfect little diamond triangle shape. It has more grace on this landing right here than it does on this one. Yeah. What's another principle that I like about my blocks?
You're getting more questions in your chat.
Cool.
If you aren't paying attention.
I only have 2 monitors right now, so it's really hard for me to play the game. And this is my level. Yes, I put the code up. I'm gonna put it up again, I guess, for you guys. OBS. Here, it's a non-linear speedrunning level. It's called Race through the Golden Desert. This is an extension of some of the workshop activities we've been doing here. Started with an exercise just building a level out of blocks only, and then the next challenge was like add a few elements like coins or whatever, or enemies or power-ups, and see how much that changes it. And it turns out I really like this level. I tweaked it and played it a lot according to these principles that I'm telling you about, and this is the result. This is the Mario Maker workshop, by the way. I guess it's pretty obvious on the bottom of the screen. But we are teaching game design. We're learning more about Mario. We're doing it all at once in a very interesting, collaborative way. I missed that jump. So that running line is really easy if that's the only part you do. But if you connect it from another one, all of a sudden you're like behind the beat, and you're like, ah! And I fell out the hole because of it. I think that's funny. I took this from 1.2. NFT, Jeff was correct. I did steal this from 1.2. I stole this from 1.1 right here, this 4-block formation, because I like it so much. There's nothing wrong with taking things. I think we should take a lot more things from Nintendo, if you know what I mean. But, so here's an interesting thing. I just shoved these blocks on when I first made this level, and they were just vertical lines that were just like, had no purpose. But then I made this one 2 blocks high instead of 1, like this. And I'm like, why did I do that? Kind of made an interesting contrast between this like loop right here and this part up here that's just a straight line up. So then I was like, well, if I chop some holes out of it, that'll be an interesting alternative to having just a plain thing. So believe it or not, I think you can flow motion from this part into that hole. Maybe you can. Oh, you can flow motion from there on top. I think you can flow motion from this? Really? I don't know how you keep the speed up though. Oh, that's super cool. Okay, so like there's these two block gaps, but you can jump it if you do a bonk on that upper one. So if you're running and you're kind of going fast, which I could probably simulate by doing this. Falling down a hole, great. Perfect length. Sometimes you're like, there's no way I can fall, and you fall. There's a way. Like this. Okay, that's a hop. You can also do this to this. Okay. Flow like this. I don't think it actually works. Well, I think it does. I'm gonna have to try it. You gotta not smack your face there. How impossible is that? So I think, who cares? It's so hard. That is so hard. But assuming you can get enough speed. Yes, there it is. That's the flow. I designed that. But like, I designed this distance to this thing because I'm using these consistent lines like that. And you can actually flow motion straight into there to grab this one with a short hop, to grab these double and then get the victory. And that's the fastest way to clear this area while grabbing the most coins. So like I try to reward players with a lot of skill. If they're moving fast and just paying attention to stuff, they get the coins faster. The level has layers. I guess I didn't even show that at all. I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the big Mario stuff. But I will show you this. Let me see if I can pull it off properly. I'm gonna go to this slide. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add...
Oh my god.
What happened?
Playing your level and I just screwed up. Missed out on a multi-coin block.
Yeah, that's also hilarious. Oh, it's so fun. I'll tell you one more principle. On the very top right, it's actually not possible to get all 10 coins out of the multi-coin block, which there's a specific principle that I put called multi-coin block integrity, where every time you put a multi-coin block in your game, you need to have some way for the player to get all 10 out of it, because it maintains the integrity of why that block exists, and that it's like a very achievable gameplay challenge. And I goofed it just a little bit, so I'm like, just things to consider, right? The more of these principles you have in mind, the better it is. I need to actually put the thing on the screen like I'm saying. Display capture, this is going to be called PSP, and this is going to be called, oops, cancel. We're going to do window capture, PSP. There we go. And we're going to kill this one. Delete. Okay. OBS, don't fail me now. Fade. This is the level map that I'm creating for my level to kind of explain all the stuff that's going on. I just think it's a lot of fun. Oh no. Okay. Like this. Cool. Webcam's off for a bit, but that's okay. So this is the level and level map that I created. I highlight everything in the white, the light white bubbles as things Big Mario can only get. And then the yellows are the things that Small Mario get the best. So as you scan over the level and just look at the white dots and the yellow dots, you're like, oh, some areas have both Big and Mario's parts and Small Mario parts. Some areas are just Small Mario parts. Some are just free-flowing coins, so you can get them with either character about the same, like this. And then I put little Death Marios for how difficult it is to get all the coins in that particular area. So this is a 1 difficulty. This one right here is a 3 difficulty. To get all 30 coins out of these is pretty difficult. This little running challenge at the end is a 3 difficulty. I can't even really do it. Some of these are 2s and some of these are 1s. Then I put a little Zelda stopwatch for all the parts that are how much time I think it would take you to complete that. So there's like a 2, there's a 3. To get all 30 coins, it's not too hard, but it does take like the maximum amount of time, I think. And so on and so forth. Like you can see that some things are really quick. The Small Mario lines, as you can tell, are really quick. You almost never have to slow down, which is really convenient for Small Mario, but they don't give you too many coins. And you have to be particularly skilled, right? Small Mario here is a 3. Small Mario stuff here is easy, but you only get 4. Small Mario stuff here, this jump is 2 difficulty, right? So like so on and so forth. And then I made it to where I didn't even put it in this chart, but this is kind of how you should evaluate how to start pathing your own speedrun path. And the interesting part is, I don't have anything on here that represents how far out of your way that you'd have to go in order to get to any next section, because that's like a bunch of crazy math that I can't do. But like, sure, this intro area has a ton of coins. Like, look at this: 8, 12, 4, 30, 9, 4, 10. But then you'd have to go all the way back to this intro area as Big Mario, which you can only get here in order to reap these benefits. So what's your path going to be? Go high fast, skip it, come back later, layer it up on the way back? Or is it take the low path with Small Mario and figure out something else? And as you can see here, these ones to get aren't too difficult, right? The hardest one is a 2 Death Mario, and everything else is either a 1 or a 0. But you go the furthest out of the way to get to these. The ones over here are a little harder, but they're on the way, but they just don't give you that many. So like so on and so forth, right? I think it actually achieves an interesting balance that every single thing is slightly different in combination, which is why I think this layout is pretty interesting. I think this level could really, like, there could be a dominant path that somebody just finds and nobody can beat, but I think this level, if people take it seriously, will continue to be refined and refined because of 3 major reasons. I'll flick it back to my face so you can see me talking. 3 major reasons. 1, I designed the course to be moved through. So like, you're not going to get any weird hangups or whatever. Flow motion's a big part of that, but it's still just more or less, it was made for gameplay and not aesthetics. 2, I built the course to be very skill based. So like connecting jumps, it's possible for 1 and 2, varying degrees of difficulty, to nail these tiny holes or these big gaps or whatever. And 3, I layer these challenges so that you have options all over the place. You have options to be big Mario, small Mario. You have options to go high or low. You have options to go forward or back or drop or go left or right. That's a lot. 4, even though I said 3, the 4th is if you mess up on some of these, crazy things happen. You could drop from high to low, and you're like, well, if I'm low, I might as well do this. Like, you can actually adjust your plan on the fly, and it's really interesting because of the flow motion, right? You're running and running, you bonk something, and you flow right into the next thing. Are you just going to start picking it up? Are you going to reroute on the fly, or are you just going to quit and start over? Who knows? But I put all that in there so somebody could figure it out. And that's basically the design of this level. I'm not going to give away too many secrets. Oh, so I was actually working on the spreadsheet. I was extracting as many principles as I can from what I made so other people can potentially make it and run with the idea. So yeah, flow motion, make it smooth for players and fun. I did just with the layout of the blocks. So like pay careful attention, or this is called When I Grow Up. Maybe I should call it a Toys R Us kid. When I pay attention to blocks to punch / hit that are 6 to 7 blocks high. 6, small Mario can hit with a run jump. Big Mario with a standing. Big Mario with standing. But 7, only Big Mario can hit with a run jump. Like that. So that's, I paid attention to that in some of the intro areas. I think NFT Jeff was talking about it, like, oh, this one you have to run jump. I'm like, he paid attention to just about every single interesting little thing that I put on the, at least from a player perspective. So I had 2 things that I tuned the entire level for. The floor is lava, and I tuned it to where small Mario complete. We call that SM complete. SM complete. It's like MP complete and all those funny little calculating math terms that they have. Well, we got our own, and I didn't spell that right. But this is basically the entire level can be beaten as small Mario. This is something that Mario games have maintained, actually. All Mario platformers, actually, no. Super Mario Bros. Did this, maintained this principle. SMB3 features some levels where you need a power up to clear. But in general, Mario follows this very strictly. Other platformers really don't have a dynamic thing that your character can do, but if they do, it's something to consider. Exceptions, SMB3 coolness. Purpose, the base gameplay when tuned around small Mario also makes things interesting for Big Mario. Is it Big Mario or Super Mario? Furthermore, maintaining this helps define that the power up is a power up instead of a power, you gotta get this. So the fact that the power-up is optional is part of what makes it a power-up. Otherwise, it's a key that you need to use, right? So like those two things work together. Small Mario complete. The floor is lava is make tuned course so player doesn't have to touch the ground level after the beginning. It's just for fun. So I'm gonna put this as a importance to taste. Whatever you want to do on that one. These are all basic layout thingies. Basic layout. And this is all level design for now. This is all Kirby Kid for now. Maybe I'll not be Kirby Kid tomorrow. Importance, I'll fill that out later. But yeah, there's one more for this level. What was it? Something about Big Mario I was like very, 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 very careful of. You know, don't make soft logs for Big Mario, but that's just kind of a given. To create Big Mario accessible only areas, I put the bricks underneath of question blocks. And since there's no Koopas and there's not the other kind of Marios where you can do crazy stuff by dragging things around and picking it up and kicking it, that's pretty much locked into place. Oh, Small Mario complete, and then I can say I don't know what to call it, but I made it to where any coin in this game, in this level, can be also picked up by Big Mario. There's no exception. Now, Small Mario can't get to all of them, but that's fine, but Big Mario can get to all of them. So I can write big or small, got it all. I'm going to change that later. I don't like it. But Big Mario can get everything in the stage / everything that Small Mario can. So in order to also to maintain the fact that a power-up is a power-up, you can't have the player regretting that they got it. So the less things you put in that are Small Mario only, the more it's just like, good, I just feel empowered because you are empowered. All the benefits of Big Mario come in, and then there's no drawbacks to being Big Mario, basically. That's how you do that. That's why people like being Big Mario, and they don't think twice about it. This is like always, but it's like Mario does this almost always across all games. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Let's just end the stream. I'm gonna check some questions in a second. Beep, 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 beep. Hey, we got Marcus here. Let's see. Is there a principle yet for blind falls? So let's see. There are some principles in there that say, yeah, there is actually. So let me just show you. If you go here and you in this sheet, and just type in blind. Do not punish the player for making a blind guessing choice. With death, we have another one, blind jumps of faith. If you jump from a high place and can't see the landing before you jump, be sure to make it as safe as possible to land. Purpose, blind jumps are uninformed decisions, therefore they can easily be unfair and random. Just help the player get down safely, maybe use some coins. This is about fairness. Good point, good question. Up. I have too many windows, I'm just getting lost. I think I saw your level played by video game. Really? That clear condition, collect at least one coin. The whole level was about dangling coins. Just that's funny. That's hilarious. What do you think about making the level timer 500 seconds? So like the fun of this level. So okay. This level's about non-linear exploration and coming up with new paths and stuff. If you just make the timer too short, players are going to get stressed out. I made it as big as possible because it's like you're going to need to be crisscrossing and re-crisscrossing and going forward and backwards without worrying about dying. And you got to give them time to think. If there were any blocks next to it, yeah, that's like a counterintuitive thing. Brother, can you spare a coin? What are the clocks in Dead Mario's? I explained it. Which image editing? So that's just Paint Shop Pro from freaking 2003. I've been using the same. I can use Photoshop, but I've been using that same program since 2003. Oh my gosh. The flow motion is slow-mo, low gravity theme, slow flow motion. Yes. What's the best one? Otherwise, they need to be more. I mean, you can jump in the chat, Jeff, if you want to just chat with us directly, but otherwise, you need to get more mushrooms, take damage. Cool. All good. So to close up, next week we're going to be talking about essentially extending what we learned here, but with a very specific design focus. Next week we are all about blocks and coins, and we're going to be building bonus stages. Now, bonus stages are a very interesting and specific kind of design. They've been around since Super Mario Brothers 1. I mean, let's just go show some. No, should we? But yeah, they're usually single screen. They usually have some kind of clear, interesting visual element or some clear, interesting, like, here's some coins. They usually almost never hurt the player. It's just pure, like, let's see if you can get it, otherwise move on. They can have some tricky nuances to it. The original Mario... I gotta show you. This is so cool. Creative Gaming. Where did I put that in? Variation? Mario Melodies. Blog Archives. Zoom in. Do this. Do that. Do that. Melodies. Variation Part 1. Okay, so it's not Part 1. It's Part 2. So these are all the Bowser battles, by the way. Bowser battles by. You can see that it gets slightly more complex every time. This one adds a brick. This one adds a brick that's kind of in your way. This one adds a fire bar and a potable. This one adds a potable and a brick and a moving platform. This is now Bowser has hammers. This one's now Bowser has hammers and there's a potable. And this one's the final one is the hardest. I guess the image doesn't really show it, but it's like Bowser's potables, fire bars, and something else. I don't know. That image should look different, but anyway. I'm not going to second guess myself. Here are all the bonus stages in the original Mario Brothers. This is what I'm talking about. Number 1, super simple. Just free coins. You made it. You found a secret. Number 2 is like, oh, yeah, you got to jump up and get these coins, or do you punch them from below? And heads up, there's a secret like right here, hidden block. So that's really cool to kind of emergently help that be discovered. This is one of my favorites. You drop in as Big Mario and you regret your life. This is one of the few instances in the original Mario Brothers where it looks like it's a small Mario only, but you have just enough room in a 2-block wide space to get up into slide or running speed that can slide, and you duck, you'll actually fit underneath this. Every single coin is accessible to Big Mario, including this multi-coin block on the right. You can duck jump and get inside of it, but you have to do it from the base. Small Mario can just kind of run and collect all these easily. Really cool. And then we get some more nuanced territory. To fall into this gap, which this is the C shape, the C motif that Marcus used, and Zara used, and Tony. This kind of started with this, right? And in order to make this harder, they put a little lip on the bottom of the C. Like, you better learn. So to fall into this, you can't just walk off the edge and hold to the right. You actually have to jump off from the top, off the screen. So you got to know what Mario's jump looks like in your head. DI backwards, and then get the coins. I love it. And there's also like a multi-coin block over here, so you don't soft lock yourself from getting to those coins. Nice. A really good bonus room. This one's another interesting one because if you don't break it properly, then you'll soft lock yourself as Big Mario from getting to the top. But if you're not Big Mario, all you can get are the little small coins on the bottom because you punch them from beneath. This is like a big boy's bonus room, basically, right here. And I love that stuff. So we're going to be designing our own bonus rooms with different nuances, different game types, different challenges. And it's kind of bringing everything that we learned from basic layout and a little bit of the experimentation from extra credit to have some very particular application. We also might even do level endings because those are super fun too, but that comes later. So that's it for the stream. There we go. That's it for the stream. I guess we'll cover more levels next week. We'll cover all of your assignments and examples and questions in the stream just to kind of wrap things up. And all these streams are hopefully going to be on the new website that we're going to update tonight, where it's going to have all the lessons and each on their own webpage, so you can scroll down, refresh, learn some things, see what the workshop has been doing, and maybe share it with a friend. So until that time happens, until next week, I'll see you guys later.